And we're back with Harrowing's The Passing Show, live with Hal Gill, your host. And as you can see, the moon is up past the Georgian Revival Mansion. It's for sale here on S Street, a little bit of S Street that exists between here and there, which is the Albanian Embassy. Just redone by my friend Jack Brady some time ago. Jack's father was John Brady of the 100th Air Group Masters of War. Features him prominently. He had to bail out over Munster and spend his time in a prisoner of war camp before coming back to the States and raising Jack. He was born just after the war, I guess. Jack's 76, 77 now. Yeah, and lives right up the way on T Street, where I'm heading up that way at the moment, but probably going to turn south, head for the Yukon Circle area, see what's happening down on the circle. Get a few steps in. The main aim here is, like I said, get a little exercise, take in the passing show, who, what, when, and where. And he's painting LLC. He's parked there and awaiting the light. What a few characters about. Always characters. Washington, D.C. has a very different character set than Philadelphia, where I was the 21st of August, hoping to see The Who. But they had to postpone. And we'll be rescheduling for a later date, which I hope will not fall on a date when I have other things going on, because that would be tragic for me. I certainly wouldn't want to interfere with attendance at Patti Smith's 50th anniversary of Horses, for which I also have tickets, or Yorma's 85th birthday celebration at the Warner Theater downtown. Yorma, grew up in D.C. Yorma Kalkinen of Hot Tuna. Hot Tuna is in Wilmington, actually, the night or two before that, 2 nights, I think, October 30th. And I've got backstage pass to that. Little meet and greet that I won in an auction for Camp Winter Rainbow. Always trying to support Camp Winter Rainbow. They've got a fundraising concert coming up out in San Francisco soon, the Presidio Theater, I think. And it's going to feature Steve Earle and Derek Trucks, Susan Tedeschi, and who else? Somebody else. Some other big name that I forget. Top of my head. Terrible. Well, I keep a lot in my head, so maybe it's not so terrible. The who, what, when, and where of the passing show is really the point here. We're doing raw journalism. It's not all about me. It's about taking in data, raw information, considering the fact that every cent we spend is a vote. Yeah, good tip. Kind of what we would co-create. Polite people, probably visitors. Most Washingtonians not so polite. And may or may not be true. Got lots of suspicious characters about as well. It's quite masked. I don't know. You know what's happening here. Getting a pedicure or manicure, rather. And Dolce's Vision Spirits and Spice looks like it maybe still open. Just so they're standing around the doorway. Yep, door's wide open. And what else is going on? Some of the usual suspects. Probably heading home. Counters down. Moon is square down Connecticut Avenue. And a slightly gibbous phase. Waxing. Waning. It'll be full before you know it.
Yeah, and then it's like it's barely different, but I think they're better.
Yeah, okay. I can vlog now. Let's see what's happening over here. Set to Osteria. A few folks sitting out getting their dinner. A few folks sitting outside at the tomorrow as well. Smoking a cigarette. I don't see a lot of smoking of cigarettes anymore as much as you used to. But some people are. You know, the industries of the tobacco industry and the liquor industry. And we were talking last night a bit on a Zoom call with a lady who wants to have me on her podcast. And I am going to be on October 10th. Kind of looking forward to that. She's out in Fairbanks, Alaska. And she was talking about how, during the time that African Americans started really organizing themselves, and about then the heroin really got dropped on the community, and then crack, of course, as well, and crack with heroin together, speedball took out a lot of people. People got into that stuff. Does bad things to you. And then when that started to get under control, so to speak, and there's a huge industry for the DEA, for the enforcement, law enforcement, incarceration of people, controlling populations, right? Setting them up for failure. And admittedly, we human beings do not necessarily play to their strengths. So this is on my mind: human behavior, addictive behavior, in particular, and the economics of it all, and the power dynamics of it all, which is what the economics tend to drive, all that energy that we pour into trying to control one another, and then trying to damage one another. And then, one thing after the other, one thing leads to another. It's all interconnected. We're a web. We're all nodes on a non-hierarchical network. Some of us are awake and aware and are amplifying signals that we pick up along the way. So that was one I picked up from my friend in Anchorage, Alaska. I see we have Canadian Kim again. Thank you. Welcome. Bobby McAulp, it's back. Stanley Watring. I've not seen you before, but Lee, I've seen you. So we got 3 regulars, and maybe Stephen Watring here a regular too. If you have comments, concerns, need to know where we are at Q and Connecticut Avenue. We're at the northwest corner, heading across to the northeast corner shortly. 41 seconds to get there. 32. Looking at the DuPont Circle Metro station pole there. And there's escalator replacement in progress. Nice farmer's market. Watercolors, muralist, watercolors, author and illustrator of illustrated cookbooks, known for her vibrant artwork celebrating our world through food and culture, Marcella Kriebel. So she's done all these lovely paintings that grace the outside. I've stopped and talked about her before. I'd like to amplify the fact that we have artists out there doing good work. The Bond Circle Metro, you can see part of the repairs there, are manual stairs underneath the escalator to service it. Folks coming up out of the metro. And inscribed along the edges is this quote from Walt Whitman, 1865. Listen, silence and dreams, projections, returning, resuming. I thread my way through the hospitals. The hurt and the wounded, something I pacify with soothing hand. I sit by the restless all the dark nights. Some are so young, some suffer so much. I recall the experience, sweet and sad. Well, and then 1865. My father passed away. There was a volume of Whitman by his chair that he had gotten in 1955 or so. And about 90 years after that was written. And my sister read a section from Leaves of Grass. Didn't really get her voice on the microphone, unfortunately. During his funeral, on April 12th, 2024, 4/12/2024. Dad was 91 plus. He was still had his faculties pretty much right up till the end. We last talked on April Fool's Day of 2024 on the phone, and I'd taken him out to dinner mid-March. I had my mother's 85th birthday, 84th, piece it together, 85th. Mom's 86 now, and she's been widowed. Let's see, not quite a year and a half, but right around a year and a half, coming up on a year and a half. She called me last night and said she'd like it if I visited her, and I told her, we do have plans, and I told her about that, of course. She's marked it on her calendar, but she forgets. On September 13th, go down there and take Mom out to lunch, stay overnight. We'll see her on our way out of town on the 14th, and then it'll be another month before I get down there again, probably. That's my rhythm. I may pick it up if she seems to be declining more rapidly. Right now, she seems to be pretty solid. As far as it goes, she doesn't lay down memory much, but it is what it is. Where do I want to go now? I always like to go by Kramer books and see what they're programming away with. I just got a new book, Red Line in the Sand by David A. Andelman. He's been my guest on the Harrowings podcast a couple of times, and I'm really very generous of him to take the time to talk world situation with me and enlighten me about the way he sees it. We are talking about the UN General Assembly coming up, and there's a lot of things happening in the world, folks, and we need to make sure we keep vigilant. Palestinians will not have any representation because they have not been granted visas. I think that's important to amplify that signal. You can say what you want about it. I'm sure there are some people who are pro and some people who are con, but when it comes down to it, I think we ought to have representation of all nation states, as we do not recognize, or do we? I can't remember. But apparently, Germany is planning to take in the recognition of Palestine as one of the things they do during the UN General Assembly. Here we've got quite a few good books. I'm very interested in It's Big by Edwin Luce. I don't know if he's a great writer or not. I don't know much about him, but Zbigniew Brzezinski, America's Great Power Prophet. Yeah. Got a book on 2024 and how Trump retook the White House and the Democrats lost America. My wife has listened recently to Everything is Tuberculosis. I have not read the CIA book club, but I did look at The Mission, a CIA in the 21st century, and listened to that while I was I would have been at the Who, but I was in my nice hotel room at the Guild House in Philly, the fourth floor. I was supposed to be on the second floor, but they put me on the fourth. We got a little extra stair work that way. Yeah. So, what else is new? There's a pretty good concentration of people hanging around. And I'm going to go around here, take a look at who's at Rakuya, and probably cut back down and see who's sitting outside at All Day behind the bookstore. Pigeons, people on bikes, scooters. It's always this way in the neighborhood. I definitely need to do this walking, though. It's healthy for me. I keep myself going as long as possible. I'm not as fast as I used to be. I was walking with a young man, actually identifies as a woman, and I was just making about, he's probably 35, 37, something like that. Could not keep up. I'm really too fast. But it is what it is. Keep your eyes wide open. You never know. You might see. I quite often see folks who are movers and shakers of Washington, D.C. along in here. Visitors, of course, as well. It's a good place to stay if you're in Washington, D.C., if you got the money. The hotels we have here, among others. Some yeller up there. Don't see it. I can hear somebody's voice raised. Oh, they've changed this. Is it open now? Let's see what it says. Closed for installation. Please visit DuPont'sunderground.org for event information. Looks like Alt DC open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. and additional events. On view September 6th to October 5th. Video and stills. Alt DC opening September 5th at 7 p.m. So there you go. You might take that in on the passing show one evening. Expect delays, road work ahead. Let's see, this one's a red hand. I've got a crossing though over here. At least to get part way, not all the way. Probably wait to go this way. Belong to the Peeling Paint Society, so I was just peeling this, and it was peeling, but it's been painted over. Somebody's got a barking dog. There's the DuPont branch building for the PNC Bank. Not happy with them right now. Electric Porsche. Ford Bronco. I like to identify the different cars going by.
Like six.
Many different types of vehicles. Many bicycles. Cross here. I think we could cross there. Should be nice. Get into the circle. Got some folks doing some yoga over there. Pretty impressive. Yoga or acrobatics of some form or another. Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Adirondack chairs. My wife was telling me that in reading or listening to Everything is Tuberculosis, she learns that these chairs were actually designed to help tubercular patients recover. To relax those and be supported for healthy breathing from their weakened lungs. Pigeons resting on the fountain. Not running at the moment, sadly, but, we did see a running fountain at the Spanish Steps earlier this evening on one episode of The Passing Show. Where else did we go? Let's see. It's New Hampshire. If you go down to George Washington University that way. 19th Street. I think we're just going to loop the half of the circle and go back up the way I came or cut across on Massachusetts. Yeah, makes sense to me. Massachusetts Avenue has a number of interesting institutions, such as the Carnegie Institute of Peace. That one has Krispy Kreme donuts. And upstairs they have one medical group, now owned by Amazon, sadly, but it is what it is. I do use them. So the cents I spend on my health care coming back into Amazon. Might as well call it Anaconda. It's got a stranglehold on the economy at some level. AWS, built their second headquarters in Northern Virginia. And of course, Jeff Bezos now owns the Washington Post. So your media outlets are Substack writers here, me doing law journalism. You'll notice that there don't appear to be any really active protesters here that I can see. Everybody's pretty peaceful. Doesn't look like anybody's really stirred up. We also don't have much of a National Guard presence right now. I did see some yesterday morning. I wasn't out this morning, but something I'm sort of poking my nose around, seeing what's happening. I think they're largely doing the day jobs or day shifts around. Maybe they'll come out in the evening too. I don't know. They're on dinner break. Sort of makes sense to be on dinner break. I want to try to get it up to 100% for the week, and I'm at about, think about it, I believe I'm at 93%. Last I checked my steps before I left the house. Oh, P Street. Got a police car over here by the lights are flashing by the CBS. I think they do have a lot of problem with pilfering over at the CBS. They've actually had problems at one point with people smashing out the windows of the stores. So a lot of them were boarded up during the Black Lives Matters protests around George Floyd's murder. There's the Smithsonian African Art Museum. They have a exhibit there that stresses the murders and such that have happened of innocent people. George may not have been innocent, but he wasn't, shouldn't have been executed on the street by suffocation. But this other woman, Rihanna, was shot, killed by somebody breaking into the armed police breaking in unannounced and shooting her. And that was tragic. And that sound recordings of that are in this exhibit called Five Murmurations. There's a lot about COVID in there too, because all those things were happening simultaneously. And we can't forget our recent history. I'm out here filming this largely because I've gotten used to it. I've gotten used to the idea of being able to take in the passing show and document the who, what, when, and where, and lay down some primary documentation for historians of the future, potentially. One never knows. It's hopeful that this will actually be meaningful to somebody. And that's what I picked up a little bit from Sunshine this evening when she fed back to me about text posts that I put up about it being day 45 in my new life. And it is. And I feel a little invisible. I feel like a ghost. There's this line in Highlands by Bob Dylan. No, it's actually in Mississippi, come to think of it, which is on Love and Theft. I think Highlands is as well. Great album. Came out 9/11/2001. Produced by Jack Frost, another of pseudonyms for Bob Dylan. Oh, there you go. An anthem all our own, Nats.com, with 4 presidents. And it's hard for me to even understand who those other 2 are. They don't look like Jefferson and Washington, but I'm confused. Anyway, that's not unusual. But definitely Lincoln and Roosevelt we got there. Teddy Roosevelt, of all people. Anyhow, I was talking a little bit about, but I forgot. And that is not uncommon for me to forget what I'm talking about. I think it was really important, whatever it was. Pandemic. Keep our eyes open. Take in the passing show. You never know who you might see Some people are important. Some people dress importantly. Got it. Optica over here, advancing optics and photonics worldwide. There it is. A new Dynasty restaurant. Fredo, that's newish to me. I don't come down there all that often. I only live like 2 blocks away, 3 blocks. But I don't come down here that often, as I mentioned. They've got an emissary over here. I was holding forth an emissary, Pergamino, a small English basement level place. This is also English basement level, but larger. They kind of have a restaurant function there in addition to the cafe. And it's pretty good. Pretty good. What we got over here? Dumpling happy hour. Cheeky. Dine in 7 days a week. Emissary Express, everything to go. That looks closed. And compliments only. Try our turkey Caesar and quit monkeying around and come inside. I can't. They're closed. Luna's Tear Design. Pretty quiet in there. Capital Donor. Their heroes there.
How much should we have to do? Yeah.
And what else? We got Spot of the Sea across the way. Emissary. I don't know where I want to go entirely, but I think I might be down this way. Ooh, they got the green light though. Stand down, let them pass. The only thing there is I'm going to cross against the light. Yeah, so who, what, when, and where, primary documentation of historians of the future, potentially. You can see that things are pretty calm. Not a lot of activity. Gotta run like the bathrobe guy. Okay. Why unhappy with PNC Bank? Okay, I don't want to go into it. Hello, everybody. Peace, love, and later. Yeah, great. Good, Ace. I've been banked with PNC for 31 years, and it's just a lot of times the service is rude. And I don't react well to rudeness. In fact, what I do generally is I will vaporize somebody if they're rude to me. And I have stuck with PNC in spite of the rudeness of people in that branch, which has happened more than once. I call customer service and I let them know about it. And I don't think anything happens because this isn't the first time. But anyway, these days it's very hard to get good service. And really, when it comes down to banking with ATM cards, and I do have one now, shouldn't even, I shouldn't even, right? Spent like most of Friday evening on the phone with customer service and fraud detection and largely because I was treated rudely by somebody I probably should have listened to. So a lot of ways I make my own problems, right? I think that's true of a lot of us if we're honest, that a lot of the difficulties we find in life have been self-generated. And if we would use our prefrontal cortexes, our executive functions, and be slow to act, slow to judge, suspend judgment even. I mean, we're always going to make assessments, but we could be wrong. So we should make an assessment, check that assessment. I was reading some Matt Taibbi, and he's got a couple of good essays out tonight about transhumanism as a religion, and Aristotle's religion. And he's not wrong. He certainly can put that label on it and make it stick. I think that Paul Feyerabend would definitely be in agreement, who was the author of Against Method. Oh, I remember one theme I was on that I never really finished. And that is that, in talking to David A. Andelman about the upcoming UN General Assembly, and Andelman is a long-term journalist, knows a bit about the world, more than most of us, but firsthand, and pretty well connected. His assessments I'm pretty well, trusting. And I was like, what do we do about what you're telling me is horrifying that is happening in the world? And didn't really have a good answer for me there, I feel like. And a lot of that is because journalists will just report the who, what, when, and where, as we see here. There's a monument to Ukraine's patriot poet, the freedom of the Ukraine. Anyhow, because of that, because a journalist is largely just identifying the issues and not necessarily coming up with the solutions, I'm like, well, organization, we had organization during the 60s. And I was reading this thing on the memory hole or listening to it about the trilateral commissions reports on the democracy in crisis that they put out. The Trilateral Commission, right? Driven by the Rockefeller Foundation, largely David Rockefeller and company. And they were looking at the 60s and saying, hey, democracy is actually starting to become democratic. It's not just Wall Street lawyers and bankers calling the shots with the government. We're actually seeing people organize and seize the ways of power in ways that are causing public opinion to turn against us. I'm watching the crows flying in the west as the sun sets behind the Church of the Pilgrims. I think that's what it's called, Episcopal Church here. And, you know, I've got the crows in the distance. And when I was talking with my friend in Alaska last night, Zoom call, preparing for her podcast on October 10th as a guest myself, talking about how they just dumped heroin into the population so much to really just screw up everything. Summer of Love, it's basically 66, things were going great. 67, not so much, even though that was technically the Summer of Love. It was the summer before that when a lot of the things that were happening really were getting underway in a positive way, and then the negative stuff started coming up as huge amounts of children ended up on the streets of San Francisco if they could afford it, and even if they couldn't. And, that drug culture, the war on drugs that then was foisted upon us was a great distraction from what was happening with the Vietnam War. They kept us in the Vietnam War for political purposes when we should have well gotten out, stopped murdering all those people, and ourselves. I go down to the Vietnam War Memorial frequently to walk along it and honor the fallen. I mean, they didn't sign up for that in many cases. There's Tomas Masaryk, the Czech patriot. We're looking at his back. It was presented as a gift to the United States of America from the Czech Republic and American friends of the Czech Republic in 2002. So that's been there since then. Oh, what else do I want to talk about? I'm looking at the Embassy of Estonia now, and I was listening to the Estonian Prime Minister recently talking about the situation that happened to her grandparents under Stalin. They were moved out to Siberia. Just people's lives get wrecked by the political powers when people in numbers do have the power. A lot of us are getting cleaned up now. I talk a lot about the recovery, and more could be cleaned up. We still have problems, yes, but we're getting smarter, and we should be able to manage to get a lot of our problems straightened out that are generated by greed, a love of power, a love of the money that enables power. But there's good things that come out of it too, right? So you got to look at the balance, right? So we're going to go down here and loop up by the Museum of the Cincinnati across the way. Those officers who served with George Washington during the Revolutionary War. We're going to think about George Mason and the Virginia Bill of Rights, or Declaration of Rights, I think it actually is called. Has formed our Constitution ahead of the Declaration of Independence and ahead of the writing of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights added to that, and the First Amendment, Second Amendment, Third Amendment, and the freedom of the press. We are the press now. We have freedom. Where we are now, it's outside the Cosmos Club, and the Cosmos Club is made up of folks who are making significant contributions to their fields. We're going to see it's founded by Wesley Powell, I believe, and he was a president there. These folks are probably important, some level or another. I don't know that chap. It's familiar. Don't know what's going on. Probably wait for a ride. Right here, that is the historical marker. It was founded in 1878. Private social and cultural organization whose members are eminent in their professional fields. Better said than I did. Members have included U.S. presidents, Nobel and Pulitzer Prize winners, and recipients of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, National Medals of Science and of Technology and Innovation. The Townsend House on the original site of the Hillier House was designed by Carrere and Hastings for Mary Scott Townsend and Richard Townsend, completed in 1900. The house was among the first of the grand Beaux-Arts mansions lining Massachusetts Avenue, and the Townsend House became a center of Washington society in 1950. The Cosmos Club purchased the property. And Major John Wesley Powell, as mentioned, was a naturalist, scientist, and founder and first president of the Cosmos Club. So there you go. And there it is. And off we go. I always enjoy stopping by there. I've been in there a couple times for different events. One, probably the last time was my friend Tatiana's wake for her late husband, Carl Abendschein, who died very young. But they were both well-regarded lawyers in D.C. Tatiana, originally from Colombia, mother of some young children. This is the Embassy of India. So I was just talking to Anvilman about India being driven into the hands of the Chinese by the tariffs that Trump has levied, and how they're over in China now at the SCO 2000, sorry, SCO, SCO 2025 conference. So a monument to Mahatma Gandhi, 1869 to 1948. My life is my message. Always like to stop by here. Somebody's left a card here. Dominic Turner, massage therapist and personal trainer. Okay. That's nice. Freedom is never, I could read it a second ago. Freedom is never dear at any price. It is the breath in the breath of life. What would a man not pay for living? 1938. I do not want my house to be walled in on all sides, and my windows to be stuffed. I want the cultures of all the lands to be blown about my house as freely as possible. But I refuse to be blown off my feet by any. I refuse to live in other people's houses as an interloper, a beggar, or a slave. He said in 1921. And he was a pivotal world figure. So we have to think about these things a little more than we do. And of course, there was a great film starring Sir Ben Kingsley as Gandhi, in which many of us became aware more of his life and legacy. I've got a translation of the Bhagavad Gita by Gandhi in my possession, which I was reading shortly after I got married to Len as part of my bedtime reading, I recall. And it really reached me, particularly his footnotes. I could go into that in detail, but not going to. So I'm walking and talking. Talk to Grok about it, maybe, get some good feedback. Let's see. I like talking to people, too. I remember Theodore Redke said one time in his Draw for the Fire, I think it was, collection of his commentary and fragments put together by Wagner, I think. Anyhow, Straw for the Fire, Theodore Redke, poet who died the year I was born, drowned in a swimming pool, apparently, heart attack. Anyhow, he said, a good day talked only to people, as opposed to figments of his imagination, I suppose. He was known for cultivating his manic states. Like many of the poets of the period, Robert Lowell, John Berryman, Theodore Redke, they were well known for their bipolar issues. And I don't know. I just know how things seem to me. Vivian Brown's My Kind of Protest is up from June 28th through September 28th. There's still time to catch it here at the Phillips Collection, which is the old Phillips House, a more modern wing, a very human-sized collection of modern art. It's America's first museum dedicated exclusively to modern art. Duncan Phillips went to the Armory Show in 1913 and got a taste of it, and decided to found it at his family's home, and it has grown and become quite the institution just down the block from where I live. Yeah, so what else can I say? 78% power, 14 of you on board. Who's there? Oh, hi, John Marshall. When you joined, Robert Hogan, MD, is back. Lost Fives 100, thank you. Well, Ace, I did fill you in a little bit about what it was all about after all. I don't like talking about it. I don't like generally that what other people being rude does to my mood. It turns me into this kind of berserker. And I come by that honestly genetically, but we're a long ways from that, or we're not. And that's my problem with people thinking, oh, we've got to consult with humans all the time to make sure that humans are okay with what we're doing here. But we're so emotionally driven. And a lot of times we do things that aren't in our best interests. A lot of times we're violent. Look at the roses climbing on this. Gorgeous. Yeah. All kinds of flora and fauna. There's some fauna over there. Form of, I believe, a Shetland sheepdog. We had a Sheltie for years. I think Sedgwick came into our life about 1986, 87, and exited about 1998, 99, maybe. Kind of portrait of him I painted shortly after his death. Had some form of cancer, poor thing. He was a puppy mill dog they got from Pet Go Round down in Patrick Henry Mall, where I also got my cat with my first wife, Alexander. Baddest kitty in the world and Alexander was a kitten. But those were great days for me in many ways, with some exceptions. There were moments. There are always moments. And my heart's breaking a little bit for that. But if I knew better, I'd done better, I suppose. It's hard to look back into the 1980s. I haven't written about that recently, and not in detail, what that marriage was like. I was working hard on my translations for the blacksmith shop during that time of Handwerk and Kunst in Tabellen, an 18th century vocational textbook out of the Realschule in Berlin, 17 volumes of it, and I was working the ironworking sections for them. And I was also working on a fellowship for the Historic Trades Department, Warren G. Hobby Foundation funded this fellowship and supported my work on translating the index Springle in its totality. So that could be used to sort of x-ray or text to find out what was worth translating and where the things were. And it also ended up indexing the plates, which was kind of cool. Okay, let's see who else is around. All right. All right. We're up by the embassy of Albania, and somebody decided to dig a hole in the street. Apparently, the world's going on over here. Blocking up Phelps. It's not so good. You know what? 7:35. I can move the car, so I think that's what we're going to do. Going to move the car so I get across here. So it shouldn't be a problem. And we're going to park up here by the format spots, so Lynn won't have so far to walk in the morning. She's got a paralyzed ankle on one foot, left foot, paralyzed left arm, and walks with a cane after a fashion, ankle throw orthotic on the left ankle to help to keep that steady. But it's wearing on her knee pretty badly, and I'm afraid her mobility is going to decrease even further. She suffered a stroke at the age of 42, as I've talked about before, and we're sort of in a three-legged race through life, as I like to say. Let's see, I got the keys. Should be. She's asleep. So, BMW iX is interesting. Electric car. M70. See it front end of there? Not sure I like it.
Oh, that's
Yeah, they blocked off Phelps
Yeah.
for whatever this operation is. I'll probably have it all healed up by the morning, the way things tend to go. Jeez. Well, yeah, that makes sense that they blocked off that section. It's the Embassy of Costa Rica. The moon. That goes. Pre-Columbian stone ball. And my lung issues. I've got some Breathe Easy tea on. That's just about ready for me. Well, it's not Breathe Easy. It's Breathe Deep. Those yogi teas. Slightly different formulation. And I've got coming to me some Mighty Lungs from Gaia Herbs. Try to help with that. I'm 62 and I should have better lung ability than I got, I think. I check for lung cancers regularly. I used to smoke and don't now. But last time I deliberately smoked, aside from maybe being exposed to some secondhand smoke here and there, but very rarely, last time was, oh gosh, September 10th of 2015. So 10 years coming up. Got to remember to mark that on the calendar. That Thursday, I think, the 11th, 9/11, 2021. I was at the anthem for King Crimson. My cousin Jeff was there. I met him for the first time face to face, Jeff Knighton. Well, the first time we remember. I had met his young children. He was a babe in arms, or maybe he was in utero, for all I know, when he came out, and his family came out to our house when I was a kid. My father was the second cousin, or first cousin once removed or something of his father. And here we are. Hal Gill's. Let's get it going. We might even stay going while I roll the car around. Why not? I beat up old 2005 Camry. Now was in much better shape when I married Len. I was only 12 years old. Oh boy. Behind me. Passing. Lights on. Seatbelt. Bicycle coming. Pedaling. Come on. Little folding bike. I think we'll go this way. It's as good a way as any. Mostly hands free. The phone is staying in place pretty nicely. Be careful as I go around the. Whoops. My dashboard. Dash cam time. That's the Chinese ambassador's place. I get my mail sometimes because they're 2301 and I'm 2103 and a half. And I didn't return the thing that I knew they got. Um, you know, but, you know, what can you do? They got diplomatic immunity. It's kind of funny. It is what it is. We're going to turn on California, get out from behind this lady on her bicycle, and like, come on up, California. My cousin Rhonda used to live up here. I have a condo up here. She was living with her husband, Henry, who was older than her father. Yeah. Uh, Not a huge fan. But I'm not a huge fan of a lot of my family, as it turns out. I think a lot of times they're really bent, but they come by it honestly. Most people are bent. That's the Russian American Institute over here. There it is. That's the door. And, yeah, sad what's happened between our countries, the Russians and the Americans. We have to demonize somebody, though, to justify the war machine. And the economy is so tied up in the war machine. That's why I think disarming us should just be done rather than asking us for permission, as I keep talking about. You know, it's just humanity in general needs to be disarmed. So we stop killing each other. Somebody's got to enforce that thou shalt not kill rule. Oh, well. Killing is merely scene changing, according to Pete Townsend. Think that's in Pure and Easy. All men are bored with other men's lives. Dang it. A lot of traffic. Get out? I can get out? Yep, I can. A lot of traffic. From Drooly to Drooly ER. I was thinking about dogs. I want to have Jessica Alpha on again soon. We talked about a weekend day, perhaps. I don't know. I'm trying to have tomorrow off, actually. I may be talking to somebody the evening. I don't know if she's got Substack or not, though, but she's really interesting. Amy Neumann, she's written this book called Empowering Your Nonprofit, and it's really about AI. She's big into blockchain and things like that. That's the same girl I just saw up in the hill. Looping around. Everybody's weaving. Patterns. Pattern recognition. So Entangled Mind joined. That's nice. I think we have Paul Kirkpatrick has joined as well. So the passing show's point is just to get a little bit of who, what, when, and where on what's happening in Washington, D.C., a little raw journalism, and primary documentation for historians of the future, potentially. Potentially. We don't know. We don't know what we don't know. And I'm always trying to just sort of take it in, see what's happening, and These people have 8 seconds to cross, and they're going to start out, and they're going to run out of time. 2-1-0. That woman there is going to run out into my green. People are not smart that way because I'm behind the wheel here. But anyhow, I am letting people live. It's what I do. Okay, somebody's already got one of the diplomat spots. A Marylander with a tundra. An eloper. Well, a neighborhood. Anyway, I get used to it. I'm going to take this diplomat spot, go back inside, check my steps. I doubt if I got up to 100%, but maybe. That's what I was mainly after. If you want to become my neighbor, by the way, there's a for sale sign out front. You see that there? It's just inside. And you could get the penthouse, but you have to like finish it. I don't think it's worth $1 million. I think they marked it down a bit, like maybe to 800 something, but still, that's the kind of prices these places demand. I'm glad I'm in the bunker and got in the bunker in 2010 when the market was low. We were getting close to paying it off, nip by tuck. Do what I can to make sure we do the best we can to whittle it down faster than the 30-year mortgage we have. What else do I want to tell you all about? I mean, you get a pretty big slice of my life on the passing show through harrowings because I'm tilling it up. I'm really excavating myself. I'm also looking at everybody else. I used that Suzanne Vegas song at the tail end of the post this morning, the longer post I wrote. Left of center. And I'm looking, and whenever anybody asks me, I'm nothing much, not much, but I guess they know I'm looking at them and they must be thinking I'm out of touch. Maybe I am out of touch. I certainly feel a bit out of touch. My neighbor and our dogs over there, standard poodle, beautiful animal. Oh, yeah. Car could use a little cleaning up. It's not hurting anybody right now. Some swifts up there, probably getting after some insects, I hope. I think there's certainly been kind of an insect crash population. There are not many fireflies out right anymore. I don't think this may be firefly season, though. They're probably already down in the molt grubs, glowworms, neighbor's place. Never really hear anything from them. I hear some stomping around upstairs from time to time. The guy tends to complain about me, but probably making much more noise than I am. Kind of a whiner, not amused. But you do what you can with what you have. Yes. Huh. Never noticed that before. It's like part of the rose, a part of something. No, it's just optical illusion. Anyway, this is the courtyard. I'm going to wrap it up here rather than take you all inside. And I hope you had a good time on the passing show. It was nice to have 15 of you with us. I might go live again inside, but I don't know. I'm going to watch more of World War II, watching a documentary on Prime about the world wars. And I always enjoy doing that. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. I just noticed those. So keep it up going and be the change you want to see in the world. Every cent spent a vote for the kind of world we're co-creating and be the change you want to see. Organize. If you're not liking what you're seeing, find out who's doing what. There are things like here, there is freedcproject.org. And I don't think they're being effective, but they exist, which is better than most things. There's also a general strike being organized that they can get 11 million signed up for it. It'll actually be noticeable. But that's what it's going to take, folks. Just doing a day of no kings first protest does nothing. Waste of time and energy, in my view. That's my opinion. If you don't like it, you can have your own opinion. Thank you. and out here.